Today, I am joined by Jared Mortensen, and he is a unique guest that he has spent over 20 years in the aerospace industry, pivoted into kind of a pet D2C brand, and about 3 years ago started his own successful e-commerce company selling men's underwear. So, Jared, thank you for coming on our show.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Thanks for having me on here, Ryan.
Well, that is quite the shift from working on planes or whatever it is in the aerospace industry to designing underwear. Tell me a little bit, what does that look like? How'd you find your way into here?
Yeah, not a super linear job or career path, right? And so so I put myself through college, working at an aerospace company. So as a manufacturing engineer, and then I leveraged that into an internship at Boeing originally, and I moved out here to Wichita, Kansas, working for Boeing in finance operations. Did a lot of stuff there. And then the company was sold to a private equity company, or the division was to Onyx, which is a large Canadian private equity company. Had an opportunity to help develop the financial planning organization with that new business, cash flow models, all sorts of things. A lot of stuff like really, really cool coming out of college and be able to get a lot of experience there. But I have a lot of opportunities in aerospace to just they'd throw me at projects. And so I got a lot of just random different projects that they'd assign to me. So a lot of special projects. And so it allowed me to just learn in a lot of different areas across finance and operations, supply chain. And so did Boeing, and then the spinoff, which is Spirit Aerosystems. And then I decided I was going to start my own business for a couple of years. I went and started a furniture business in Idaho. So I went and imported bedroom dining furniture, pool tables, that sort of stuff. Was going great, and the housing market crashed, and so that sucked. So then I came back to Spirit Aerosystems, literally back into my old job in financial planning. Worked on a lot of different projects there. Then I got recruited to work at Koch Industries, KOCH, large oil and gas company based here in Wichita, Kansas. And so did operations and finance related projects there. Then I got a friend of mine went to work at Textron Aviation here in Wichita, and he recruited me to come work in supply chain there. So he's the VP of supply chain. So I went there to take over supply chain group, went into finance, and then another operations job there. So I had a lot of different operations or opportunities there. I was a finance director for operations handled a big merger with Beechcraft, when we purchased Beechcraft, Hawker Beechcraft, and merged those businesses together. And then I got recruited to work at a pet products company, a pet toy company, so by a private equity company. So we put together several different smaller businesses and aggregated that, which was super awesome, great experience there. One of those businesses was an e-commerce business. So the guys were doing dog beds, cat scratchers, and those types of things. And so I kind of got exposed to e-commerce there. And then kind of got the bug for doing something on the e-commerce side, where you could go and take a product with an idea, and you didn't have to have the factories, you didn't have to have the warehouses and offices. And so you could really, with a good idea and some discipline, you could go and scale a product really quick. And so when I had the opportunity, when the pet products company was being sold to another private equity company and merged together, I exited the business, and I told them, hey, I think we should start a men's underwear business, which is completely random. Right. But we've never had, I've been lucky to be able to do a lot of different things. I kind of put myself through this job rotation program, working at a lot of different functions within businesses. So I kind of learned on other companies' money, the different areas of business, whether it's finance, supply chain, operations. And I just didn't have any apparel experience, right? And so I started designing. I sent designs to factories. And the cool thing is about Amazon, you can drop product there and you can get feedback super, super quick, right? And so that's the biggest worry. It's okay, we're going to drop this product, and is anybody going to buy it? We had sales our first day, right? When we listed on Amazon, which again, I listen to tons of podcasts. So that's where I'm I want to try to give back with the podcast here, because I learned a lot from just listening to tons and tons of podcasts. And so I was able to avoid a lot of, mistakes that I probably would have made if I had just charged in without having any sort of experience.
That's an incredible story. And I'm curious, before we dive deeper into your e-commerce brand, you mentioned kind of having the furniture brand. Did you always know all along that you wanted to have some sort of entrepreneurial venture, that your job career, you wanted something more than that?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be able to develop something. I always have different product. I have a lot of different product ideas. I'm always looking, hey, I think I can make this better or that better. But it's hey, can I cash flow that? Why can I actually make that into a sustainable, business? Because business is hard, right? It's hard to just get off the ground and run, and even if you have enough cash, and so I'm fairly like just realistic as far as what is possible, and so it's just really finding something that we think has had the biggest opportunity and was really something that could take off and run. But I had a lot of self doubt, right? Any entrepreneur entrepreneur does, like when they're going into a venture, it's like, hey, is this going to work? Is this somebody going to buy this? And so. Of course, there's a lot of people I just want to tell when I'm talking about my ideas because they're just going to laugh at you, right? As you have you tell them this is what I'm going to do. So, but yeah. So, but yeah, I've always wanted to be in charge of or really running a business and just still have more freedom. Not necessarily. I don't like managing people. That's the biggest. Like I say, like running a business, I struggle with is the fact that I just don't like managing like a large team. But I love developing products and bringing new things to the market and just being creative and being able to share those things that help make the world a better place through better products.
Yeah. So how did you know men's underwear was where you wanted to go right away? Go ahead. That's quite the niche. I also had a specific niche, but it's always interesting to hear.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I men's apparel in general is not very size inclusive, right? For different body shapes, right? Women's apparel, you see a lot more size inclusivity, right? But now a significant portion of purchasing of apparel is done by women, whether it's men's or women's clothing. Women buy the majority of clothes, right? And so whether it's for significant others, for kids, others, and so they tend to exercise a little more power as far as the products are available for them. So a lot of guys, it's like generic small, medium, large, right? So it's not really tailored to fit their body types. And guys, I mean, there's a lot of size diversity, but that's just not available out there in the marketplace, right? So in particular, men's underwear is designed as if dudes are all like Ken dolls, like they don't have genitals. So it'd be like if all women's bras were like an A cup, like but women are different shapes and sizes. Guys are actually different shapes and sizes. And so like I'd bought literally thousands of pairs of just different,
Wow.
like from all over the world, trying to find stuff that fit better. And there's just like it's hard to find something that actually fits a guy's anatomy. There are some things that have like a pouch, but they're like either expensive or it's hard to tell because they're like called Mega Max or Super Max pouch or whatever, right? And so we developed not a custom, a standardized sizing for men's pouch. So we have an A, B, C, and D size pouch, so similar to a woman's bra cup sizing, and so it allows a guy to actually be able to choose a pouch size based upon their unique size. And they know consistently, hey, this is going to be the same size, right? So B's average size, like US male, A on the smaller side, and then C and D on the larger side, right? And so the goal is to have a lot more size inclusivity. So we literally have 36 sizes. I have 9 waist sizes. I have 4 pouch sizes. So we're the most like size inclusive men's underwear brand in the world. Yeah, so it's a ton of SKUs. There's a lot of complexity associated with that, but yeah, and the goal is to actually have a lot more size inclusivity based upon other body type features, right? Like a, athletic fit, wider fit, husky fit, those types of things. But again, that just leads to larger SKU expansion. And so, but right now, 36 is quite a few sizes to manage. So we're holding with that for the time being.
Yeah. Now I just looked up your website. We were talking before on pickleball, and I see that this size C is considered a pickleball. That's a funny scale.
Yeah, we've tried fruit. We've tried, like kiwi, lemon, apple, grapefruit, but the balls seem to work the best. Even though a lot of people still don't know what a pickleball is or how big a pickleball is. So.
Yep. No, that makes sense. Awesome. So tell me about your first year then. So you had the idea, you found a manufacturer somehow, you got sales right away. That must be extremely motivating. I remember my first time being refreshing Seller Central and what that felt like. So how did you go from just an idea, validating it and growing it to all these products, 36 sizes on each one?
Yeah, so we had some difficulties in that. We launched during COVID, right? So I did all this design, and I came up with the designs, and I started sending designs to factories on Alibaba, right? So I just looked people up on Alibaba, started sending designs, and so we probably did samples with 60 different factories. So it was not like, hey, I'm just going to send one to one guy and see how it goes, because we had to first they had and they make the design, right? So is it going to fit, right? That's key. Like it has to fit, right? And then you have to have the quality, and you have to have the material, and then you have to have the price, right? But you got to be able to do those top three. If you can't do the top ones, it doesn't matter if you get the right price, right? And then MLQs, right? So you had to look at, you had to look at all those factors. And so we ended up settling on two factories to start with, and so that's who we're working with. And then we end up dropping one after just one PO, and we're still with that initial factory. Now I've expanded. I've got three new factories that I added since then, one through Alibaba, and then others for my trips to China. So I go there. I was there 5 times last year, so I'm over there fairly often, visiting factories and Canton Fair and other markets. And so, yeah, so we launched those first products on Amazon. And so I literally never had even a phone conversation with any of my suppliers until I'd worked with them for like 18 months before actually I met them in person before I did any, we don't do phone conversations. So I'll chat, WeChat, WhatsApp, Alibaba chat, no such things. And so, but yeah, so we did $1 million in our first 11 months of sales. And so, we ramped fairly quickly there. And so that's great. Now I was doing most of the stuff. And I have 7 sons. And so I have a shop outside my house, an 40 by 80 shop. And so that's the warehouse and the corporate headquarters. And so they've helped like a ton with a lot of that. I used to be super excited when those orders would come in, they'd pack them. So we were shipping everything initially. I didn't do FBA. I was doing all FBM. And so for the first year, we pretty much shipped everything. And then we transitioned into FBA. After we're up and going. And so, yeah, so it was great, to be able to get, that level of growth so quickly. And so that was in 2020, was it 2022? And then, and then 23, we ended up doing about, 3.5. And then this year we just finished just over 6 million between Amazon, TikTok, and our website.
That's incredible. Yeah. So what has your plan been in the past in terms of getting that growth once you actually got more established? How did you keep growing the revenue?
Well, some of it, was with Amazon. Most of that's Amazon, right? And so it's just SKU growth, so variations, right? And so we have 36 sizes, but we have we have color and size variations. So most of our stuff's in 3-packs. We do have some 4-packs. We've tried to do 1-packs, but it's really hard on Amazon to make any money doing a 1-pack just because the shipping costs and the fees are just so outrageous. I mean, they've dropped some of the fees down here recently, so you got a little space, but most of the 1-packs are more so people could like try the product out, but we didn't really find that worked very well. So most of the people that are like look at buying 1-packs, they don't step up to a 3-pack or a 4-pack. So but we just so it's like a self-selection. It's almost like, hey, that's not maybe necessarily the customer we want to deal with, the one that is only willing to drop $12 on a 1-pack. We prefer to just self-select for customers that are willing to spend $30 on a 3-pack. So the thing is, like the costs or the products that we're competing against, they're typically going to be $20 to $35 a pair. And so this is not your cheap Hanes that you're going to get at Walmart, right? So because we're trying to provide a custom fit without the custom price. And so the products that we're really competing with, even on Amazon, they're selling for $20 to $30 a pair. So we're half to a third of their costs. In our multi-packs, we're usually about a $10 per pair, right? So we're in between $30 and $40 for a 3-pack, right? So depending on the sale and what's going on, right? So and then if you get a 6-pack, right, that cost per unit is coming down quite a bit. But our materials are comparable to any of those brands, but the fit is just way better.
No, that's great. And with all your data background, I'm curious, what do you have any back of napkin math in terms of what makes that price, like what you're allocating towards Amazon, towards profit, towards advertising, to be happy with the pricing and profit margins for a product?
Well, I've got to be about 5x, like my landed cost, right, to be able to hit our target 20%, margin on the products. And so, but yeah, depending on the advertising and the line, there's a lot of variables in there, but our product cost is pretty dialed. And we don't have a ton of variability. When I first launched, we did, because we didn't have any history at the factories. Now as we have more history at the factories, we've been able to go back and renegotiate and really bring that price down while maintaining MOQs and or decreasing the MOQs and extending terms, right? So that's really helped us considerably as we've been able to do that. That's really what's helped us get through the fourth quarter this year with that continued growth and the cash tie up required to do that is getting those terms with our main supplier. But yeah, so we've been able to take some of the product costs where we're paying like initially like $3.50 per unit down to, we're under $2 per unit on some of the stuff as well. Because the thing is, it's all custom designed, right? And so it's not like it's just taking something off Alibaba and you're slapping a label on it. They're all very, very specific on the designs, and in some cases the colors where it's specific Pantones and things like that. So it's 100% customized. So,
well, that's interesting. You mentioned cash flow, and for me, when I started, I think about almost 8 years ago, I started with $500, and I just reinvested that till I made over $1 million. And I think my first 3 or 4 years, every Q4, I ran out of stock by maybe December 3rd, December 4th. Right after the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then I got a little bit of outside capital and I was able to help with that. But for you to do $1 million your first year and all these sequent years even higher, what does that look like in terms of your cash flow planning? And I know you have all your business experience. So how do you plan that out for a year?
Well, it's hard, really. That's been like that's been the most difficult thing for us, is just managing cash, because, you're making money on paper, but you're just sucking up cash. And, and where you have, suppliers, initially one supplier we dropped, they want 70% down, like on order, and 30% on completion, and, before it even ships. And so that was hard. And that's part of the reason we ended up dropping them, because we couldn't do that. And so we've been able to shift that, and that's freed up some cash. But, yeah, so I would say that's the biggest supplier area that has been the most difficult, like to manage and to forecast, right? How much cash are we actually going to need as we go through the year? And so, yeah, so we need to I would say make improvements as far as the way that we're forecasting our cash, to be able to dial that in a lot more, precisely. We really struggled last year because we brought in a ton of extra inventory, and then we had some service providers that kind of caused us some problems, that they optimize price and optimize the some listings and things like that, and then they end up like tanking our listings and sales, and so then we end up with an excess inventory position on a lot of different SKUs, and so we're super, super heavy from a cash standpoint. And if it wasn't for TikTok last year, TikTok really saved us. Because TikTok was just paying super, super fast. So we started live streaming on TikTok in November. We were a very early adopter of TikTok Shop and jumped on. And so because they had all their subsidies and they paid very fast, like we were the top menswear brand, like overall, like any menswear on TikTok for several months. But we started live streaming like hardcore on TikTok a week before Black Friday. So just before Thanksgiving. Yeah. And then it just absolutely like took off. And so that literally just saved us through last year from a cash flow standpoint, because it was like pure profit. Like, because of all their subsidies, we would sell something for $40. TikTok would give the customer like a 20% or like a 50% off like coupon, and then TikTok would pay for our shipping. So like they were paying us, like the customer would pay like $20 and TikTok is paying us like 50, and they're paying us fast, right? So it was like 99% profit. Like, it was just absolutely like crazy, and that helped us a ton. So. But yeah, cash flow has always been the biggest, the most difficult thing for us. And so I think it's something a lot of entrepreneurs don't even think about, right? They think, I've got this product and we're going to launch this. And they don't really understand like how much cash it actually takes to run the business, and how much, tie up it requires, especially as you're trying to grow.
Yes. Well, I'm profitable, I'm not growing, but why is my bank account so low? That was something I would always joke with my dad. I was like, why aren't you paying yourself? Because I don't really have much money. It's in these $10,000 purchase orders I keep placing for new products. Oh, that's good. Is TikTok still, I would assume it's not quite as lucrative anymore, but are you still pushing there kind of hard? Or what does that look like in terms of your whole marketing mix on Amazon and your other TikTok and other Shopify platforms?
Yeah, we continue to push. The traffic is not there. We've seen a significant decrease in the traffic we've gone through the last year. One, there's more people live streaming, so there's just more people selling, on TikTok, and then TikTok's trying to push more people to shops, and so you've just seen dilution of traffic, and so that's made it a little more difficult. And they backed off on the subsidies, right? And so you've seen the profitability decrease on that. Profitability is still way better than Amazon, and the cash flow is still way better, right? So better profitability, they pay faster, And so I have 2 full-time live streamers. I'm not live streaming as much personally. I've done 300 plus hours, live streaming on TikTok. So a decent amount. But yeah, 2 full-time and 1 part-time Spanish. And so we've got both English and Spanish live. So a separate English channel, and then we have a Spanish channel. So that we're streaming on. And so they're live streaming part of the time, and then they're doing content creation at the time. Posting mostly on TikTok, but with the TikTok ban thing coming up, we have started to hedge a little more and push a lot more posting onto Instagram, Facebook, Snap, and YouTube. And so exploring like YouTube lives. So we've done some YouTube lives and things like that to just hedge around right now.
Wow. And how is that going on those other channels like Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube?
It's more just getting them kind of pulls up, because the thing is, like with Facebook and Instagram, it's like so follower based versus TikTok is viral based. And so TikTok, you have the ability to access different networks a lot easier. And so because, based off trends, and so they're just going to push you a lot more to a broader group of people versus Instagram and Facebook is a lot more follower based. And so the algorithm just helps a ton. Of course, we've leveraged affiliates, right? So we use a ton of affiliates on TikTok, a lot of free samples. We're sending out over 100 free samples a week to different affiliates. So they're posting content. And so we have some affiliates that have done a significant amount of sales, both in post and live streaming for it. So a lot of those are actually customers. A lot of people trying to just go find mercenaries on TikTok, but most of our best affiliates are actually people that were our customers. And they're like, holy cow, I absolutely love this product. Can I go and market it? And so those have been our best affiliates versus just going hire a bunch of mercenaries just give stuff away.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know social media is not my strong point, but I hired some people. We probably could have done better, but Instagram and Facebook, we tried for 2 years, a couple of years ago, before the TikTok craze. And then I shut it down. We just never got the sales that made it worth it versus Amazon. That I want to spread my eggs off Amazon, but there's just so many customers there. Though for a more novel product like yours, that seems like it makes a lot more sense pushing these viral angles. So good for you.
Yeah, it can work pretty well, and especially on the lives, because a lot of people come on the lives just to make fun of the mannequin, because you have a mannequin that has protrusion sticking out there. And so we just use mannequins. We don't use any humans actually in a lot of our marketing, because one, you'd get banned like that. The bots would shut you down. And then we want to create our brand. It's really important that we're actually selling product in a non-sexualized type way, because the product's super easy to be sexualized, but we want it to be comfortable so a grandma could come and buy something on the website and not feel like they're going to get turned into HR if they're at work or whatever. And so, but we have a lot of people who come on the lives and they're just there to make fun of the mannequins. They're there to make comments. And so it's like entertainment, for them. And so it's a mix of people as far as why they're engaged in the lives. Now, some people will come just to make fun of the mannequin or make comments or whatever, make fun of the host. And then the more they listen to us, they're like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. Initially, they come in as a hater. That's what's super amazing when you bring somebody into live and they come in as a hater, and then you take them from being a hater to then they're just spamming, commenting you, and they're like, oh, that makes sense. And then they're like, oh, I just purchased a set. Right? And then they come back as a missionary, right? That they're like, these are amazing, right? And so, yeah. So that's why the lives have been super helpful, because we can interact directly with our customer and they can get real-time feedback and ask questions. And you have this interactivity that you don't have on Amazon. You can't do that on Amazon, where you're really engaging in real time with that customer. And so now the thing is, some people are not comfortable buying on TikTok, right? And so then they'll go to your website, then they'll go to Amazon. So when we first started going live on TikTok, we saw this 50 to 80% uptake in our search volume on Amazon, right? And so so much so that we just got to where I started moving the price up on Amazon. Whenever we're going live on TikTok, I would go move the price up on Amazon, because we're having all this bleed over. People are like, hey, I'm going to go buy it on Amazon. And so I'm like, that's fine, but I'm going to get my margin. If you're going to go buy it off Amazon, I would get my margin. So we'd move the price up when we go live. And so it actually allowed us, with the tariffs and all that other stuff going on with TikTok, it actually allowed us, because we were having so much larger branded search, we were able to actually move our price up on Amazon to be able to maintain margin, even in the face of all of Amazon's, fee increases and all that.
Yeah. It sounds like all your suppliers are in China. Is there any concern of tariffs or looking for suppliers in other locations with the new administration coming?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a constant worry for us. And, if we've talked to suppliers in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Mexico. We haven't been able to find someone that could even get close. We know we're going to pay more, right? And so, now we're hoping that, with especially like if we were to go to Mexico, we could get with nearshoring, we would get, maybe it's a higher price, but we would free up some cash, or at least net from a cash standpoint. We could pay more if it was neutral from a cash standpoint. That's really the big thing. But then, some of these factories you talk to are like, oh yeah, we want 100,000 MOQ. I'm like, nah. Like my factories now are like 1,000 to 6. That my highest factory is like a 6,000 MOQ with a really low price. And so like 100,000 units, I can't do that. And so it's like, so we're working, we're going to re-engage with a company in Mexico, down by Mexico City, with doing some samples and stuff here, next couple of months as a hedge. Of course, it looks like, have tariffs here in Mexico as well. So, yeah,
Yep.
it's
Fees everywhere.
yeah, yeah. But Amazon fees are a bigger issue for us than the tariffs from our perspective.
Yeah.
So, and a bigger concern.
Nice. Well, Jared, I appreciate your time. You've given a lot of fun and helpful commentary on growing a brand that it is harder now than ever than when I started. I just threw a product on, and like you, I did get sales. I think maybe my second day, not quite first day, but I did not need any advertising for a couple of years, actually. And it was almost all auto campaigns at like a 20% ACoS, but it can still be done, I think, with a novel product idea. So I appreciate your time. And if you want to, can you give a shout out where people can find you, find your brand, and is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah. So rmac.store. So we'd love to have you just go to our website and buy from us there. So but whether you buy Amazon, rmac.store, or TikTok, it's all shipped from the same location, same customer support. Somebody orders something, size doesn't work for them, you literally just DM us and we will send you another size. We don't, you don't have to do a return. We'll just, because we want to help you dial in that fit. And so we want to help you find a fit that works well for you. And so we're willing to commit to that if people are willing to commit to our brand and buy something that looks a little funny, but it's going to absolutely change your life as far as the way that you feel. Yeah. So go and check that out. So rmac.store. And, yeah, I'd love to connect on LinkedIn. So just Jared Mortensen, just search for me on LinkedIn and we can connect with you there. TikTok, Snap, Instagram, X. So we're across the board on a lot of platforms, Reddit. So we're pretty out there.
Great. All right. Thank you, Jared.